welcome to our second Breakfast with the Mayors for 2013, and we're glad that you're here this morning. And we are here to take care of a little business this morning, right? That's what we do, is we take care of the business.
That's what we do. We're the business folks here. We want to thank our sponsors, and First Farmers, Craig Holland and his team over here. Thank you. Then Barge, Wagner, Sumner Cannon, that's Will Reed and Paula Harris. Paula? Dan Ryan with Ryan Search and Consulting, also the SEC, whatever it is, of everything. He was talking about baseball this morning, go figure. Grand Avenue Transportation, Carl Haley, thank you, Carl. Williamson County Association of Realtors, of which I'm a member. Tiffany Chevrant, Executive Vice President, and Matt Ligon, President. I saw Matt somewhere. Thank you. And then, of course, Chick-fil-A, who could forget them. They've just introduced this wonderful lineup of salads. I looked at their calorie count, and it was quite encouraging for those of us who are trying to shed a pound or two this spring. Emily McClendon from... Oh, I'm sorry.
And Bill Fender's here this morning.
Oh, Bill,
so thank you.
yes.
Yes, see, there he is in the back.
Thank you, Bill. And Royal Cup Coffee that helped us wake up this morning, Herb Modisette. And our partners in Get Fit Franklin, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Scott Carner. Thank you, Scott.
And we worked with Rolling Hills Community Church on staging these events, and they've come up with a new way for us to display your logos today. For today's event, our sponsors include the Greater Nashville Association of Realtors, and we have Don Klein and Price Lucklider and Hagen Stone here today. Dickinson Wright, we have Brian Eccles and John Burns. Alfred Benesh and Company, Sammy McCoy. Thank you, Sammy, for always being a great supporter. Waddy and Patterson, we have Managing Shareholder Ed Landquist and Legal Administrator Jim Roberts. With Windstream Communications, we have Zach Kelper and Randy Lawyer. And with Vanderbilt Health, we have Dr. Pete Powell and Sandy Tischler. And Vanderbilt Health is also a partner in our Get Fit Franklin Community Health Initiative. If you want to learn more about that, you can go to getfitfranklintn.org, or you can just visit franklintomorrow.org, which is our website. And we'll turn it over to Kathy, and we're done.
I really want to welcome our two mayors who always are exciting to have with us, my cousin Ken and my good friend Rogers. Come right up.
So are we supposed to sit down, or are we supposed to start talking? Oh.
Your mic.
Come on up, Rogers. How are you this morning? This is not going to be the improvision that we did last time. This is going to be different. I'm actually going to talk. I've got some prepared remarks, and you can ad-lib after that.
Yes,
and,
Ken.
You know, I think it's really great that we're invited to come this morning and set Dave up. You know, here we are, government. You know, we have a reputation that we're spend and spend and spend, and so we're perfect material for Dave to bounce ideas off of how we might do better. So I'm looking forward to that. And I do have a group of aldermen here this morning, and I'm not, if my city alderman, raise your hand, and everybody, hello, thank you for being here. You know, this is an important time of the year for the city because we've already started our budget talks and our budget hearings, and we're trying to figure out what our capabilities are for the coming year. But I want to kind of give you an update as far as where we are as far as the city's finances. That we are, and also update you that we are being fiscally responsible for your money that you pay on your property taxes. The good news is we're a healthy community. We continue to be a AAA rated credit with Standard & Poor and Moody's also. And this rating has given us an opportunity to get favorable treatment in the marketplace. When we go out to borrow money, we're able to borrow at lower prices, and also people are eager to have the credit of the City of Franklin. One of the axioms in City Hall is that we always have more deserving projects than we do money. This continues to be the case. We continue to have a long list of projects that need to be done, but each year we sit down and we carefully review each project, and each alderman tries to come up with a ranking, and then we try to figure out, after we've ranked them, if we can pay for them. And we don't go forward with any project until we know that we can pay for it and fund it. If you remember, 2008 was a very difficult year in our nation, and it was a difficult time in Franklin and Williamson County also. We cut our budget 15% over 2 years. We've slowly, we did that without having to do any layoffs. We continue to provide all the services that we're expected to provide, and unfortunately, though, at the same time, we also had to hold off on many capital items that we needed to do, and also we had our employees had to sacrifice some too. Too often in the headlines recently, we've been seeing cities and states and businesses that are challenged as far as their pension plans. The city is aware of this issue, and several years ago we addressed that issue to continue to offer a competitive package, a retirement package for our employees, but also at the same time making sure that we had developed a plan that we could fund. And I'm glad to report that we're 89% funded at this time, which is pretty good for most communities. Our Achilles heel continues to be our reliance on sales tax. It's our largest source of revenue, followed by state shared revenue, and then by our property taxes. We've continued to see construction costs rise, and it's more expensive for us to do projects. But thanks to our city employees and our city staff, who have a great imagination, they continue to look for ways to stretch our dollars further, such as $200,000 a year savings at our wastewater plant by doing some improvements there. You've seen some public-private joint ventures such as the solar fields at the wastewater plant. Things continue to look bright for our region. We're predicted to continue to be a leader in job creation over the next 20 years. 2,300 new jobs last year, unemployment in the low 5% range, so things do look good. I can't not say something about our great employees for the City of Franklin and the people that volunteer for our committees. We have a great city staff that's very dedicated. They love their job, they love working in Franklin, and they love bringing forward creative ideas to keep us, this city that we're so proud of and is so alive with energy and so on. But I also want to mention our citizens that volunteer for committees to participate and also help make our community a great place. So we continue to stretch our resources, and I'm going to turn it over to Rogers now to give some more perspective.
Well, thank you, Ken, and thanks to Mindy and Kathy and the events that we seem to have here, and certainly the sponsorships that continue to make this all possible. And I want to touch a little bit on the budget processes we're going through. We're probably about 75% in the county finished at this point. Our strong emphasis again will be on public education. We are expecting approximately 900 new children in our public school system over last year at the same time. We get in the area of somewhere between 725 and 750. It requires new schools. Currently, we do not have any schools on the drawing board that are under construction. We do have one new high school that will be built out in the Nolensville area, and they're looking for sites, additional sites in the Spring Hill, Thompson Station area. It is it just goes to all of you that probably know Williamson County in the Middle Tennessee area continues to be a very desirable place for people to move in. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the strong advocacy programs we have with all of our mayors. We have a new mayor down in the Spring Hill area. It's been in, I think, 2 weeks now. But Ken and here in Franklin, almost on a daily basis, we're working through issues, the same thing we do up in Brentwood and all the other cities. The predominant ones are here in Franklin. I would like to say thank you to Matt Largent and what he is doing over in the economic development side through the chamber. We could. Most of you know that Williamson County continues to have a lot of activity of businesses that are looking at our area, and that's no exception over the last 60 to 90 days, a lot of good activity. And I want to say thank you to those businessmen and women. Ken and I are both very pro-business, but it's a balancing act every single day to make sure that we hold our tax base and provide some of the infrastructure. And to cover Ken just a little bit, not all of the projects that involve in transportation are his fault if you can't get around. Some of those are the state of Tennessee, so you can pick on the past mayor, John Schroer. He's been waiting a long time to get that done.
I needed that coverage. Thank you,
I
Roger.
knew you did. It is an exciting time in Williamson County, and your presence here today is always appreciated. We've been doing these several years now, but the real speaker that is about to come up is an individual and a man that has made a mark here in Williamson County and throughout our nation. And I'm going to let Ken kind of introduce him. He's got the bio on him. I think most of you already know Mr. Ramsey and what he means to our country. It's your turn.
Oh, okay. I kind of wondered how Rogers was going to get this thing stuck in his ear this morning. We're privileged today to have a Franklin resident who has made his mark as far as syndicated radio and as an author and as a person who represents sound financial judgment. He's grown his business into a multi-billion-dollar business here right in Franklin, Cool Springs area, and also is recognized as his company as having one of the best places to work in America.
We could read all of this, and I'm going to stop, but I will say this. We always take pride in those large corporations that we acknowledge with high employees that turn out in our community. Many of you may know that Vanderbilt has about 3,600 employees in our community. CHS, Community Health, they have approximately 28. And you come on down into that top 25 list, and Mr. Ramsey's organization is there. What a credit we have in our community, but this morning to have Mr. Ramsey.
Thank you, man. Thank you, sir. Well, thank you, mayors. I'm hanging out with all you important people today. I feel like a wiener in a steakhouse. Thank you for having me. We appreciate it very much. Every Wednesday morning, I am at the office, well, most every Wednesday morning, at about 6:20 or 6:30 because I do Fox and Friends, somewhere around the 6:35 mark, depending on what kind of mood they're in. And from 7 to 8 then, when I finish that, I walk across the hall into my boardroom, and I have for 12 years, and sit around the table with 12 men that I've been in a Bible study with there that are all leaders in their field. I decided years ago I wanted to have and they did too, that we wanted to have a group of people around us that we could depend on to bust each other. And this is a group of men that don't have many people in their lives that are able or willing to bust them. And so having that level of accountability, that level of stretch, that level of push for 12 years, that's become my band of brothers. One of the things we do in there is we read through books. And we got into a really great book about 5 or 6 years ago called Thou Shalt Prosper. It's a book by an Orthodox Jewish rabbi named Rabbi Daniel Lapin. And it is the thesis of the book is, as a Jewish rabbi, he says, why is it that Jewish people, no matter where they are in the world, no matter what the situation is, they have a tendency to prosper? Why is that? Why is it that 3% of Americans are Jewish and 64% of the Forbes 400 is? Why is that? Why is it that when you travel the world and I travel the world, we just don't see Jewish slums? They're not there. And he goes through the 10 reasons that he thinks that they have prospered. It's a thick book. Don't start it and think you're going to read it over the weekend. It's deep. It's one of those you'll just fill it up with highlighters and sticky notes. And I just fell in love with the idea and the concepts. And I went on the radio and I was talking about this book being one of the best books I'd read in years. And apparently the book started selling after I did that. And I get this phone call from this guy with a South African accent from Seattle. He says, "This is Rabbi Daniel Lapin." I wish I could do a South African accent. South African hillbilly would be interesting. But he says, "Who are you? I love you. My book is selling. What's up?" And that began a friendship that he and I have interacted and shared ideas, helped each other. And he's a really funny guy. He says, "Yeah, Dave," he says, "everybody needs a rabbi, even you Christians." So I love having the guy in my life. He's a great guy. He's brilliant. He's brilliant. One of the things he says in that book is he says, as a business principle, he says, God is inordinately pleased. I love this phrase. God is inordinately pleased when we are obsessively, compulsively preoccupied with the needs of others. I hate these things. Obsessively, compulsively preoccupied with the needs of others. As we look back on our company's 20-something year history and the trek we've taken from a card table in my living room to where we are today, which for a kid from Antioch, Tennessee, just boggles my mind. I mean, I come in there and there's 370 folks working on that team and 100,000 square foot of building, and I got to make that payroll. It scares the crud out of me. And I got to behave, because if I don't behave, it all goes away, right? Oh, man. I mean, it's a responsibility that's called servanthood. It really is. And when I look at that, and as we have studied that, we were putting together our material for entrepreneurship and leadership called EntreLeadership. My last book, which was, thank you, Lord, a #1 New York Times bestsellers, finally got one of those. But the other one's been on the Times 200 weeks, but never made #1, just ticked me off. But for that book, the essence of that book is how we do business in our organization. How have we been able to win over a 20-year period of time? And we, as we studied that and we thought about it, we kind of boiled it down to 5 key areas in business, and we haven't got time to do all of those. But 5 key areas. One of those key areas is this. If you're going to win in the marketplace over a period of years, consistently, not a spike, not a flash in the pan, not the brightest bulb, but the one that stays lit. If you're going to continue to win in business and in the marketplace, you have to really believe and function in a way that you believe that people matter. It's a weird business principle. People matter. Your customers, your constituents matter. They're people. They have a story. There's something going on in their life. Their child just got a 4.0 on the grade card. Yes. They just found out they're going to be a grandpa. Yes. They just heard that their grandmother who raised them has got inoperable cancer. They're going through the toughest time in their 17-year marriage right now. There's a story happening in every one of our lives today. People matter. And we're so frenetic in our culture. We're so wide open. Me too, pedal to the metal. I'm a twit on Twitter. Facebook has to be updated, not by me. There has to be a voicemail left. I answer 200 emails a day inside of my business and with friends and relatives. 200 emails. What kind of nut does that? Me. We're crazy. We go, 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 go. And if we're not really careful, we become transactional. I do. When I get too busy, I get too tired, I forget everybody's got a story. You can hear it on the radio. If I've been on the road doing 18-hour days, 6 a.m. media to book signing late that night, go to bed, fly to the next one, I come back in, jump on the radio show that day, I sound like crud, and I'm really short with people. Don't call me on one of those days, I'll be mean. I'm not doing real good that day. People matter. Your customers matter. I don't care if you're serving ice cream at Sweet CC's or coffee at Starbucks. I don't care if you're running a heat and air company and putting in a water heater for somebody. You need to stop for a second, just a nanosecond in that moment. Make eye contact. And remember, they got a story. Those customers are not units of revenue. They're people. Now, if you're serving ice cream, you don't need to do counseling, okay? Just give me the ice cream. I don't want to get too far into this. But just for a second, stop and remember that that's a person, not a transaction. It's not just a unit of revenue. The people that work on your team, thank you, Mayor, for acknowledging your team, your employees that work in the city. People on your team, they matter. They got a story, and if you call yourself a leader, you better know their story. Otherwise, you're not a leader, you're just a boss. And I don't want to work for you. And neither is anybody else. They tolerate you. I've been a boss a time or two in my life. Lord, forgive me. But as I'm getting a little bit older, I'm learning to lead instead of boss. Get a lot more done. A lot more things move. And you learn to serve your team. Sometimes you serve them by allowing them to work somewhere else. Be free in Jesus' name. Sometimes you serve them by putting your arm around them and kicking their butt and getting them course corrected, just like you would with one of your teenagers. Sometimes you serve them by bothering to stop and say, you really did a good job on that. That was incredible. How many times people say that? Ken Blanchard says for most people the last applause they got was high school graduation. Your team matters. We figured out a few years ago, we have our HR policy. I'll give you our HR manual right now. Here's our human resources manual at our team. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. There's your business ethics class. It's over. Class dismissed. Treat other people like you'd want to be treated. People running their mouths, saying foul stuff, looking at foul stuff on the computer. You want your daughter sitting next to that guy in the workplace? I don't. I'll tell you what I'll do with him. I'll fire his tail. Because my daughter does work in our place. And a lot of other daughters, too. And I'm an old-fashioned southern redneck. I got no use for a gentleman that's not a gentleman misbehaving. I don't have to worry about sexual harassment, federal guidelines. We won't even get close. Not sweating that a bit. I'll just fire your butt. You're inappropriate around a lady. We treat other people like they want to be treated. Somebody gets in a bind and has a problem, makes a mistake. How do you want to be treated? I want clarity. I want people to tell me how I can correct it. And I'd love a little grace when I mess up. That's how I'd want to be treated. Try that. It's relational, it's not real transactional, but it works every time. I had a lady walk in our office a while back, and a tear ran down her face, and her lips started quivering. I said, "What's wrong?" She said, "My baby's sick." I said, "What's wrong with your baby?" Because it could be, they got the flu, and she's just an upset mom. That happens sometimes. I said, "No, she's 3 years old, and the doctor says she's got leukemia." And what do you do when a member of your accounting team has a 3-year-old with leukemia? I don't know. What would I want somebody to do for me? It's the only way I know how to answer the question, because people matter. So because you can't do accounting when your 3-year-old has a leukemia, your brain doesn't work. It's not a possibility. Productivity is not an option here. So we paid her for 6 weeks, full pay, doesn't count against her vacation, and our ladies got together, and she didn't cook a meal during that time, and our guys got together, and they didn't cut their grass during that time. And the good news is, as a few years ago, that little baby ran around bald for a little while, and we joked about her having a Dave haircut. And now she's almost 6 years old, and she's cancer-free for several years. She's doing great. But I'll tell you this, if you're at a party in Williamson County, and you run into a little black-headed lady with a little touch of gray running right through here, and her name is Shauna, it would do you well not to say anything negative about Dave Ramsey in her presence. Isn't it interesting? We can't figure out how we get our team to be loyal. It's like standing in front of a stove asking it to give out heat without putting wood in it. Maybe you get a loyal team after you're loyal to the team. Maybe that's the way that works. Your people are not units of production. They're a team. They're people. They got a story. Even your competitors are people. Now, I enjoy competing. I enjoy winning. I enjoy strapping the helmet on, knocking somebody on their tail. Rush Limbaugh has 600 radio stations and some change. Sean Hannity has 533. I have 517. And me and Sean are going at it. And the rest of them are in the 300s and 200s. So we're a solid number 3, barking at number 2. And Sean's competitive too, I'll just tell you, beyond competitive. So, but I don't have to put Sean out of business to be on the radio. Isn't that interesting? I can whip his tail and he still gets to stay on the radio somewhere. Maybe not the station he wanted. And he knocks me off occasionally too. That's just competition. But I don't have to hate him. I don't have to want to destroy him in order to win. Even my competitors are people. Susie Orman and I agree on almost nothing. But I'll tell you this about her. She's got a good heart. And she does believe and really want to help people. That's really who she is. Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad's a buddy of mine, and we agree on his first book, and after that, we don't. He teaches people to go in debt, and I fix them after they go into debt, after he told them to. But he, I'm out in Phoenix, and he and Kim and I have dinner the other night. Why? He's got a good heart. He's a good man. We're competitors in that space, and we conflict in the advice that we give in that space. But isn't it interesting that we can still both win in the marketplace and be okay with that? I don't have to destroy Robert Kiyosaki to win. I don't have to. Nor am I going to. Because it turns out people matter. God is inordinately pleased when we are obsessively, compulsively preoccupied with the needs of others. That's a weird business principle. And I got to tell you, after doing this for 20 years, it has added a richness to my life that I never saw coming. I could see that a lot of people need to help getting out of debt and that we were going to win doing that. I could not see how much fun it is to get up and leave my home every morning and spend time with my team, who I dearly love and dearly love me, every day at 1749 Mallory Lane. We're having a blast, you guys. We're having a blast, and we're winning too. We're winning. God is inordinately pleased when we are obsessively, compulsively preoccupied with the needs of others. Thanks for having me today.
Great talk. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Is this where I'm supposed to be? Is this a hot
I think
seat?
we're supposed to sit in the hot seat
Oh, good.
and take
I'm
questions.
being interviewed by politicians.
For
Lord,
those
help
that are
me.
going to ask about Mac Hatcher Northwest Loop, raise your hand. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I live off McEwen, so I'm not going to talk about it.
Good question.
Oh, this is Q&A from the audience. Okay. Which involves the audience. Hello, audience.
I have a question. What was the biggest obstacle you had to overcome when you could first get your business started?
Me
Oh, wow.
was the biggest obstacle I had to overcome. Me. And it's still the limiting factor. John Maxwell says in the book 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, law number 3 is the law of the lid. And he says that the leader is the lid on the organization. I'm the problem, but that also means I'm the solution. And to the extent I don't grow personally, read, spiritually grow, take care of myself physically, as long as I'm not growing, the organization is going to be limited. And so I remain the biggest problem, the biggest obstacle, but I also remain the biggest solution in there as well. And if I can overcome that and keep working on that, then we start to unfold all these other things. There's all kinds of challenges, but the challenges, whether they're team members, the first thing I did was I was horrible at hiring, so I hired crazy people, and then I had crazy in the building. And now we developed a whole 14-point hiring process. It takes about 90 to 120 days, somewhere 7 to 14 interviews to get hired by us now. We're very difficult to get on with, but all of those steps are there because every time crazy gets in the building, we figure out what door they used. We don't want them in there again. But stuff like that you can work your way through once you realize that it's me. I'm the core issue. Me and my problems and foibles are the thing that can bring this place down, because everything does rise and fall on leadership. What John Maxwell says about that is very true. Right over here.
What's your take on government debt? You talk about private debt. What about government debt?
Well, when I went broke, I went through a process. I went broke, for those of you that don't know, 20-something years ago. Coming up on 25 now. And I was a baby Christian at the time. I had just met God. And as a matter of fact, Glenn Cassida and I have been buddies that long. I remember going out on the boat one time with him, and he's known, God since he was knee-high to a grasshopper, and we're on the boat, and I'm telling him 14 days after I met God all about my doctrinal understanding, and he was laughing at me. But we met God on the way up and got to know him on the way down. So one of the things that happened with me when I went broke was all of my academic understanding with a degree in finance, a background in real estate, which means that I love debt automatically, and having made money and lost money in the real estate business, all of those things I had been taught were then challenged by me laying flat on my back. And so I started measuring not only what other people had taught me, but what I'd learned in academia against Scripture. And as I went through the scriptures, I first thought, well, this is simple, it's ridiculously, it doesn't apply today, and I had all these rationalizations, and I just can't find anywhere in there it says that anything good about borrowing money. You're a slave, you're a fool, it's a curse. And it doesn't really distinguish between individuals, consumer debt, or business debt, or church debt, or government debt. It just talks about debt. Matter of fact, as a reference to government, as the children of Israel getting ready to cross the Jordan, God says, I set before you blessings and cursings. And one of the cursings he laid out to the people of Israel, a people corporately, which would be at that time a theocracy, a form of government, was one of the cursings is you'll borrow money and it'll be a curse. And what I've learned as I've taught this now for 25 years is that debt increases risk, period. When you borrow money, you increase risk. It's not a salvation issue. It's not you're a bad Christian if you borrow money on your MasterCard. That's not what it is. It just increases risk. And it increases the propensity to do stupid. Because you're going to, all of us make mistakes, and you magnify the size of your mistake when you borrow into it. And that would be particularly true in business and in government. And so when we went through the 2008 downturn, I had a strange experience in that, the building down there is paid for, and all the other real estate we own is paid for. Our homes are paid for. Everything's paid for, and we keep a strong cash position because we don't borrow money. And the whole thing's falling apart. Everybody's running around handing out helmets, Chicken Little, the sky's falling, and all this stuff. And I had this strange experience where I'm like, I think it's time to grow our business. It's a good time to enter the market while everybody else is retreating. And I had that same experience when things were going really good. And so when they were good or they were bad, not having the burden of that freed me up. Now I understand leverage and I understand the theory that you can do more, you can cause things to happen you couldn't cause otherwise, but I just started living my life by that simple premise in my business as it has scaled and in our personal lives, and so I don't borrow money. Now I'm not mad at my friends at the church. My church has debt, where I go to church, and I didn't quit the church, and I'm not mad at you guys if you do a bond issue and you got a great rating, which means you're handling the fiscal thing well. That's awesome. I'm not mad at you about that. But it's why I don't take this kind of stuff, because I'm unreasonable.
What's the most important thing you've learned while growing your business?
That's a great question. That's like one of those magazine interview questions, get all philosophical or something. What's the most important thing? Wow. I have no idea. There's a bunch of them, that run through one of the things that popped into my head is just don't quit. A couple years ago, back in about 2007, I think it was, I run half marathons now, but that year, for some reason, I lost my mind and I ran 2 full marathons in one day, my first and my last. And I learned something in that spiritual experience because a guy in a tutu passed me. That you can do anything no matter how bad it hurts if you just keep moving. One more step. I blew an IT band in mile 17. If you just don't quit, you can do anything. Now, I felt like I sprinted across the finish line. The video shows otherwise. But you just, I was sitting with a billionaire a while back, which is an interesting thing to get to do. They got 1,000 million. It's a lot. And he said, I read this book, and it's my favorite motivational book. It's The Tortoise and the Hare, because the tortoise always wins. We live in a whole society full of hares that run around all over the place looking cool. They got all the image, big hat, no cattle, as they say in Texas, and they can't keep their eye on the ball. They can't keep their eye on the finish line, and they're sporadic, and they do this, and they do that, and they're running, and everybody sees them, and they're beautiful, and we just sit over here for 20-something years, work our tails off every day, and we look up and we're an overnight success. So it's this perseverance might be one of the key character qualities of people who win in business, in government, in that win in marriage. I've been married 30 years. You can ask Sharon, that required perseverance on her part. But the, you know, I think maybe that's one thing that enters my mind. There's probably a whole bunch of them, but you know, you don't have to be pretty. You just have to show up all the time and bring it while you're there. You know, I don't have to be the #1 draft pick. I just want to be on the team. That's all. I want to be Rudy. That's who I want to be. You know.
How much has this place, and locating your business in Williamson County and Brentwood and Franklin, how much has place contributed to the success of your organization? And would you ever have had your business anywhere else but here?
Well, certainly we've been in the radio world and the broadcast world. I mean, we did a Fox television show for a while. We've done a lot of other things, and the Fox guys came down and said, hey, you need to move to New York. And I go, you don't have that much money. I ain't living there. I've seen you people's taxes. You can't even drink a soft drink. So I grew up in Antioch. I've lived here my whole life, other than going to UT at Knoxville. And, we've been in Brentwood, Franklin area for, I don't know, 20 plus years, I guess, living here. It's a huge part of our lives. I mean, our friends are all here. How much has it contributed to our success? I don't know. I mean, it's hard to quantify. It's the symbiotic relationship of all the people you know and love you and care about you, and they all give you lift, and you don't even know it sometimes, and you know, that kind of stuff. That's good, solid community. You know, it pleases me to visit other countries like California and tell them we have places like this. You know, the fact that it is a great place to work, for instance, we're trying to recruit, we got like 15 dad-blame programmers on the board right now to hire, and as you guys know, people hiring, it's tough to get those people. So we're bringing them in from foreign lands like Minnesota and stuff, and you know, but it's just when they come in and they see this place. I had a guy last week going, yeah, I want to live here. So from a recruiting perspective, on a very practical level, it's wonderful, and the low taxes and the quality schools, and you know, it's not a lot of places in the country you can go and tell people, you know, that my kids, all three, went to public schools all the way through. They graduated from Brentwood High and Lipscomb and Brentwood Middle, and all the way through, all three of them. And not a lot of places you can brag on that and say, you know, they're awesome schools, and there's no way I'm writing a $25,000 or $30,000 check to take them across the street. Doesn't make sense to me. Now, some of y'all want to do that, you can, but I mean, our kids, nothing's perfect. I mean, you know, sometimes you run into a burr in the saddle somewhere along the way, but that might have been my fault too. But you know, it's a good school system and a solid area to live at low taxes, and you know, we're proud to be Williamson County people. We love it here, and we're, you know, we've certainly been encouraged to move to LA or to New York in this business that we're in, and we're just like, guys, you know, y'all don't understand. I'm not living there. It's just not worth it. It's, you know, if it has to do that to win, then I'm not going to go. So I don't know how to answer it intelligently other than that, but we're proud of the place.
You just touched on community a little bit, but I know that you spend a lot of time pouring into your business at 1749 Cool Springs or Mallory Station, but as someone who deals with finances outside of your own world and your building, what are the causes that fill you up that even in the community in Williamson County specific or nationally that you have a heart for?
The political causes?
Not political, no.
I'm sorry.
No, like a nonprofit situation, whether it's a national or the causes that take you outside of your office world to pour into.
we pour into lots of ministries in different ways, but more often than not, it's not me personally doing it, because what I do every day is a ministry. And so I don't have to, my friend Scott Hamilton, Tracy Hamilton, have been spending a lot of time in Haiti lately, working with folks there, and they're really blessed by that. And that's awesome for them. I'm not going to Haiti. I'm fine. And it doesn't mean that they're more spiritual than me either. So I'm good with what I do personally. Now, we have a family foundation that we do all of our giving to ministries, many of them in this community. And our team, we give our team, after they've been with us a year, a week off in addition to vacation. We give them a week off to do ministry work somewhere, whether it's a mission field or whether it's coming down here to Mercy Children's Clinic and working for the day or for the week, or helping somebody with a golf tournament yesterday that was raising money for some ministry. I forget, 8 of our guys went over and helped them do that. And we give them paid time off to do that. So an extension of our organization, an extension of me into those causes are done. But in terms of me personally going and doing this, it happens once or twice a year or something. I mean, we're involved in the Nashville Union Rescue Mission, or once a year, at Christmas time, we shut the whole company down and put the company into one of the local nonprofits, one of the local ministries, and help them for the day. 300 people can move a lot of stuff around. And so we've done that here in Williamson County the last 2 years, and with Grace. And so, I mean, that kind of stuff. But I personally, honestly, the ministry pull or the cause pull that I have is what I do every day. And so I don't need the outlet to move over here to do that. This is just doing 3 hours on the radio is good for me. I mean, that's where I'm called to be. So I don't know if that sounds wrong or selfish, but it's the truth. So thank you.
Mr. Ramsey, in light of the unsustainable debt that we are in as a nation, how do you see that affecting the people that you help, our local communities, our local governments, and people that call you every day? Where do you see that heading? And can you speak to that at all?
I think when you get in debt personally, Larry Burkett used to say that debt is the symptom, it's not the problem. And so it's the symptom of me needing to drive a car that I can't afford because I didn't pay for it, in order to be something I'm not. And I need to wear a certain pair of clothes or whatever. I need to go on a vacation. I need to do something I can't afford for some reason that's inside of me. And so debt is the symptom. It's not the problem. When it grows big enough, it weighs down everything and it gets your attention, like it has in our nation on the federal level right now, to where you start to think it's the problem. But it's really not the problem even there. It's the symptom. And it's the symptom in my mind of one thing. Now, again, I'm not a politician or government person. I don't claim to understand all of that stuff. And these silly people say you ought to run for this or run for that, and they're silly. I'd start a war in about 20 minutes. But philosophically or theologically, doctrinally, we have the nation's debt for one reason, in my mind. We have a group of people that are sitting in the seats of leadership in both parties who have lost the ability to say no. And we have a group of people that vote them into office that think that their government is their God, and their government is to be their provider. Government is to take care of this, government is to take care of that, and government is to take care of this. And the more things government tries to take care of, the more debt it takes on. And it's a false paradigm, and it has an end to it because it's a Ponzi scheme. You can't ever buy someone that has an insatiable appetite for stuff, enough stuff that they're happy. And so you're worshiping at a false altar. And so I am not of the opinion that the Democrats or the Republicans are going to fix our national debt problem. I'm of the opinion that we, the people, are going to finally get ticked off enough that there's going to be a political revolution that moves them out of there. And somebody with some backbone is going to move in there. or it's going to continue to degenerate, one of the two. But I'm hopeful. I travel. I was in Des Moines, Iowa last week, 3,000 people in a crowd, and you make comments about the debt. They all hate it. I'm in Oklahoma City. They all hate it. I'm in Dallas. They all hate it. I'm in Houston. 8,000 people hate it. You make a comment about Congress spending like you're in Congress, they all laugh and go, it's a joke. And people have had it, and that's good news. So it may take a few years for this to bubble up, but I don't think we've heard the last of we the people.
Thank you so much, Dave, and I believe the mayors have a little presentation to make.
Did I kind of hog that up? Y'all didn't get to talk much. I'm sorry.
You did a great job, and thanks. I didn't have to take the question about Mac Hatcher.
Just covering for you. It's the theme of the day.
Ken and I have signed a proclamation, and if you just allow us a little freedom to present this to you, as whereas Dave Ramsey III is an American financial author, host of a radio station, TV personality, and motivational speaker. Mr. Ramsey provides a strong focus as encouragement for people to get out of debt, and Williamson County is proud to be the headquarters of numerous national and owned corporations, including Dave Ramsey's Lampo Group, currently one of Williamson County's top private sector employees, and growing from a card table in the living room to more than 350 team members. He has been voted one of the best places to work in the Nashville numerous times. And together with the City of Franklin and all county residents, we wish to pay special tribute to you for this achievements on behalf of our citizens who have contributed to the growth and the development success that continues to occur here, earning our county a place of recognition and acclaim across the nation. Ken?
Now, therefore, be it resolved that as mayors of the City of Franklin, Williamson County, we do hereby proclaim Tuesday, April the 30th, 2013, as Dave Ramsey Day in Franklin and Williamson County.
Oh, that's really. Thank you very much. Wow. Oh, my goodness. Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you. That's sweet. Where's Mom when you need her? Wow, thank you guys very much.
You're very welcome.
God bless
Thanks
y'all.
for being here.
I don't think you better try to speed today, though. I don't think the sheriff signed that one, though. So thank you all so much for being here today. I needed this message today, and I've made a big mistake today that I want to own up to. We had another sponsor that I left off, and I'm terribly embarrassed and disappointed in myself for that. That's Synergy Realty Network and Dwayne and Michelle Cruz, and they were one of the first to sign up for this breakfast, and I am embarrassed to have left them off our materials today. So I will make that up to them. And Royal Cup Coffee gave away a Starbucks program for an office today, and that goes to the TMA Group, Kelly Bear at the TMA Group. We want you to mark your calendar for July. The fifth Tuesday in July, we'll be back here at Rolling Hills for the next breakfast with the mayors, and we'll be featuring U.S. Representative Marsha Blackburn. So we hope you'll plan to join us at that event. And the mayors and Dave are here for a few minutes for a couple more questions after the program ends. So thank you so much, and I hope you go out and make it a great day.
Thank you, Jamie.
Great job. Thanks for being here so much.
Honored to get to be here.